Welcome back to another edition of The Word of Life, dear viewers. For centuries, the Bible has been treasured as a source of divine wisdom. It is a treasure trove of stories that have formed religious beliefs and moral foundations. While many people are familiar with well-known stories such as David and Goliath, Noah's Ark, and the Prodigal Son, the scriptures also contain hidden gems, events that have been less explored in the fabric of biblical narrative. Journey with us as we dive into the depths of talking donkeys, valleys of dried bones, encounters with witches, and the profound teachings concealed inside seemingly ordinary acts of faith. Join us in a study of the distinctive and often ignored storylines that add to the Bible's vibrant mosaic. Numbers 22 verses 28 and 30 says, "Then the Lord opened the donkey's mouth, and it said to Balaam, 'What have I done to you to make you beat me these 3 times?' Balaam answered the donkey, 'You have made a fool of me. If only I had a sword in my hand, I would kill you right now.' The donkey said to Balaam, 'Am I not your own donkey which you have always ridden to this day? Have I been in the habit of doing this to you?' 'No,' he said. In this peculiar encounter, Balaam, a prophet, is rebuked by his own donkey, an instrument through which God speaks. God's guidance can often come in unexpected ways. Just as Balaam had to humble himself in order to recognize the divine word from an unusual source, we too must stay open to God's leading, even when it doesn't match our expectations. God can use any circumstance, even the seemingly mundane or unconventional, to speak to us. Isaiah 55 verses 8 and 9 tells us, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." Trusting in God's unconventional manners will always glorify Him, and when we obey, He provides for us better than we could ever supply for ourselves. Just as God communicated to Balaam through a donkey, He may use any event to lead and teach us. Accept humility, put your trust in His wisdom, and be open to the unexpected ways God may communicate with you. His voice can be heard in both the ordinary and exceptional, bringing you down a road of purpose and spiritual revelation. 1 Corinthians 1 verse 27 reads, "But God chose the foolish things of the world to shame the wise. God chose the weak things of the world to shame the strong." God's ways are not constrained by worldly standards. Instead, He excels at transforming what the world regards as weak or foolish into a testament to His strength and wisdom. If you ever feel inadequate or unimportant, remember that God loves to use individuals who are willing, regardless of their worldly status. Accept your flaws and perceived foolishness, because doing so allows God's strength and wisdom to show through your life. Certain attributes may be labeled as weak or foolish by the world's standards, but God's perspective is significantly different. Trust in His plan, for He can utilize the most improbable people and circumstances to reveal His glory. Your willingness to be used by God, regardless of how the world perceives you, allows Him to create miracles in your life. 1 Samuel 28 verses 3 to 25 reads, "Now Samuel was dead, and all Israel had mourned for him and buried him in his own town of Ramah. Saul had expelled the mediums and spiritists from the land. The Philistines assembled and came and set up camp at Shunem, while Saul gathered all Israel and set up camp at Gilboa. When Saul saw the Philistine army, he was afraid. Terror filled his heart. He inquired of the Lord, but the Lord did not answer him by dreams or Urim or prophets. Saul then said to his attendants, 'Find me a woman who is a medium, so I may go and inquire of her.' 'There is one in Endor,' they said. After the death of Samuel, Saul faced the imminent threat of the Philistine army. King Saul seeks the assistance of a medium, the witch of Endor, in order to call the spirit of the late prophet Samuel. This story touches on themes of necromancy and the consequences of disobedience to God. This exemplifies the penalties of disobedience as well as the risks of seeking counsel outside of God's will. It emphasizes the necessity of following God's timing and obeying His instructions even in the face of fear and uncertainty. 1 Samuel 15 verse 22 tells us, But Samuel replied, "Does the Lord delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices as much as in obeying the Lord? To obey is better than sacrifice, and to heed is better than the fat of rams." Resist the temptation to seek advice outside of God's will when you are afraid or uncertain. Believe in His timing and obey His commands. The key to receiving God's favor and direction is obedience. Even when it appears that God is silent, His plans are in motion, and His timing is perfect. Lean on Him, put your trust in His methods, and make obedience your guiding principle in life. God's faithfulness continues, and He is always ready to lead you down the correct path. Jeremiah 38 verses 7 to 13 states, "But Ebed-Melech, a Cushite, an official in the royal palace, heard that they had put Jeremiah into the cistern. While the king was sitting in the Benjamin gate, Ebed-Melech went out of the palace and said to him, 'My lord the king, these men have acted wickedly in all they have done to Jeremiah the prophet. They have thrown him into a cistern, where he will starve to death when there is no longer any bread in the city.' Then the king commanded Ebed-Melech the Cushite, 'Take 30 men from here with you and lift Jeremiah the prophet out of the cistern before he dies.' So Ebed-Melech took the men with him and went to a room under the treasury in the palace. He took some old rags and worn-out clothes from there and let them down with ropes too. Ebed-Melech's efforts are a remarkable demonstration of the power of individual bravery and kindness. In the face of injustice, he endangered his safety to fight for what was right. This story inspires us to be fearless advocates for justice and compassion, especially under difficult circumstances. It underlines the significance of using our power and resources to help those suffering unfairly. This section describes the account of Ebed-Melech, an Ethiopian eunuch in King Zedekiah's palace who intervenes bravely to save the prophet Jeremiah. Ebed-Melech petitions the king for justice after learning that Jeremiah has been put into a cistern and faces death. In response, King Zedekiah not only orders Jeremiah's rescue, but also secures his safety by supplying old rags and worn-out garments as rope padding. Next, in Galatians 6 verse 2, reminds us to carry each other's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the law of Christ. Paul encourages the Galatians to actively participate in the lives of their fellow Christians, sharing their joys and sorrows, accomplishments and problems. In this way, they fulfill the essence of Christ's law, which is marked by love, selflessness, and concern for one another. This is a powerful reminder of how connected the Christian journey is. It motivates us to be conscious of the burdens our Christian brothers and sisters may bear, and actively contribute to limiting those responsibilities. It's natural to feel isolated during difficult times, but this verse emphasizes the value of a caring Christian community. Don't be afraid to reach out and share your troubles, and be aware of the needs of people around you. Ezekiel 37 verses 1 to 14 says, "The hand of the Lord was on me, and he brought me out by the Spirit of the Lord and set me in the middle of a valley. It was full of bones. He led me back and forth among them, and I saw a great many bones on the floor of the valley, bones that were very dry. He asked me, 'Son of man, can these bones live?' I said, 'Sovereign Lord, you alone know.' Then he said to me, 'Prophesy to these bones and say to them, Dry bones, hear the word of the Lord. This is what the sovereign Lord says to these bones. I will make breath enter you, and you will come to life. I will attach tendons to you, and make flesh come upon you and cover you with skin. I will put breath in you, and you will come to life. Then you will know that I am the Lord.' So I prophesied as I was commanded, and as I was prophesying, there was a noise, a rattling sound, and the bones came together, bone to bone. I looked, and tendons and flesh appeared on them, and skin covered them, but there was no breath in them. Then he said to me, 'Prophesy to the breath. Prophesy, Son of Man, and say to it, This is what the sovereign Lord says. Come, breath, from the four winds, and breathe into these slain, that they may live.' So I prophesied as he commanded me, and breath entered them. They came to life and stood up on their feet, a vast army. Then he said to me, 'Son of man, these bones are the people of Israel. They say, Our bones are dried up and our hope is gone. We are cut off. Therefore prophesy and say to them, This is what the sovereign Lord says. My people, I am going to open your graves and bring you up from them. I will bring you back to the land of Israel. Then you, my people, will know that I am the Lord when I open your graves and bring you up from them. I will put my spirit in you, and you will live, and I will settle you in your own land. Then you will know that I, the Lord, have spoken, and I have done it, declares the Lord. This powerful vision given to the prophet Ezekiel depicts a valley full of dry bones, depicting Israel's misery and helplessness. However, God reveals his power to restore and bring life to the seemingly dead and hopeless via Ezekiel's obedience in prophesying life. God's ability to resurrect and replenish his people is symbolized by the change from a valley of dry bones to a live, breathing army. There may be times in our lives when we feel like the dried bones in Ezekiel's vision, lifeless, forlorn, and without hope. It is precisely in these moments that God challenges us to believe in his ability to restore. God sees no condition as too dry or bleak. Even when our circumstances appear hopeless, God may pour life into our dry bones, resulting in a spectacular turnaround. Even in our most difficult times, this verse urges us to stay receptive to God's restorative work. May these stories inspire us to go deeper into the texts in search of hidden riches that will illuminate our religious journey. We uncover not only historical accounts, but also timeless truths that apply to our lives today in the Bible's untapped regions. Accept God's word for what it is, and may these revelations improve your awareness of his love, grace, and transformative power. If you enjoyed this video and discovered something new, please give it a thumbs up. It lets us know you appreciate the content, and it helps the video reach more people who might benefit from these hidden treasures in the Bible.